What's happening, JD at JD's Custom Buggies? So we've got a couple of different projects going on, fulfilling orders, building spider box front ends for the customer. Parts are starting to roll in on this. We did a video on the 2 for KFXs. You got to see the dyno on this guy's stock. The other bike is up in Tennessee. We went ahead and took it. I finally got a chance to ride it, and it's just a torque monster. With all the hills up there, as far as the elevation changes on the track up there in Tennessee, I think it's going to be a good machine for that. It's definitely a really nice wood machine. So this is going to be the MX version that we're working on. Now, at this point, we just had a couple parts rolling in. I'm still waiting on A-arms. That has been the major malfunction. I have front shocks, I have a rear shock. I have a new steering stem. Bushings and bearings and whatnot to go in it. So we definitely need to go ahead and pretty much start tearing the front end apart, but I'd like to do it a little closer to when I know these A-arms are getting here. We ordered LSR plus 2 A-arms, so that'll widen the front end. We do have a new axle. It's the, I want to say, it is a Durablu X33 Dominator. It's kind of nice. We just put one on our YFZ, what it'll do is basically widen the tail end to match the front end. New seat cover is in. We still have to swap the fenders out. So what we're going to do is just basically strip the bike down, get the front end off, get the steering stem off, get that back on. The other nice thing about it is my buddy Matt at Soriano Motorsports went ahead and ordered me some Wrath Racing bumpers and the Nerf bars. And the Nerf bars, if you get a good shot of this Nerf bar, when we get the other Nerf bars in for the next video, you'll see why that is the preferred Nerf bar to race with. I have them on the YFZ and I love them. I didn't do this treatment for the Woods bike just because it's more of a play bike than anything else, but this is the bike that's going to be on the track. So you'll be able to kind of compare the two. Wheels and tires, we have in stock, we just have to mount them up, but again, no point in getting all that out until we get these A-arms. The A-arms are basically what's holding up this whole project. We went ahead and mounted like the hand guards and whatnot. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to change the bars, but it doesn't matter because the whole stem's coming out. So we'll figure all that out as we go along with the project. Once we get everything together, Matt is still trying to hunt us down an exhaust pipe. Didn't want to go with a Yoshi on this. I actually want to go with an RP or a Rossier. So he's talking to both, he's got relations with both companies. He's talking to RP, he's talking to Rossier. So who can make us a KFX exhaust? I believe I seen him on RP Race's website at one point, but now looking back, and I think that was when I first got the bike last year, looking back now, it's not on our website anymore. So at one point they made them, but don't seem to be trying to push to sell them right now. So we're going to see what we can do about that. We do have a Fuel Customs intake for it, and I will have to order another Power Commander. The YFCs, they run on Vortex. They make Vortexes for like the YFCs and whatnot. You can actually buy it for the KFX450, but they don't make a Vortex for this bike. So we have to go with the Power Commander on this, which is what we have on the other bike. So we're going to get the latest version of the Power Commander put on this and see what we got. We're going to do the big three, which is basically the tuner, intake, exhaust, help the chassis out, get it widened up, put the good shocks on there, try and get the bike to sit a little more squat and lower to the ground so it doesn't feel like it has such a high center of gravity, and then compare it with a YFZ and possibly get it to the track before it goes up to Tennessee. So that's where we're at with it right now. And this will be more of a step-by-step video. We'll kind of show you during the video while we're working on it, what we're doing and how we're doing it. All right, so we got a Wrath Racing Nerf bars in, and we're excited. We opened the box up. The stuff is beautiful. Quality is awesome. I want to thank Matt at Soriano Motorsports once again for getting the stuff ordered for us. He has relationships with a lot of these companies like Wrath Racing and RP Race and Rossier and stuff like that. Stuff I don't. So, and he's a good friend of ours, so he basically, whatever I need, he just gets us a great deal on the stuff. And definitely want to go with Wrath again.
building the YFZ, these were the bars. I had a chance to look at a bunch of them on bikes at the track and whatnot, and Matt uses them himself. So definitely the way I wanted to go. I like the bars themselves. The quality's outstanding. Rav has an exceptional reputation. A lot of builds that you see in like Dirt Wheel magazine and stuff like that will have a lot of Rav products on them. When the bars came in for the YFZ, I had to run out of the shop, and by the time I'd gotten back, Ben had already had the netting figured out. Basically, they were ready to go and installing the YFZ. So when this box came in, I was like, yeah, not me. This is you, man. So I made him get on camera there. Obviously, he's shy, so we're just going to see his hands. But I obviously sped the video up because it's a little bit of a process or whatnot, and you can see he's got it down. I mean, I know the video's sped up, but I would still be studying and looking at this stuff. And once he put the stuff on the table, he just got the ripping. So it probably takes about 20 minutes to install both, if I'm not mistaken. That's what it took him. But stuff is great. The bumpers are awesome. Even got a grab bar. You'll see that get put on later on. But this is it. So we're just going to watch Ben for a few.
Alright, so we're gonna work with whatever parts we've got with at this point, just because I've got a stack of boxes of parts, and I don't know when these arms are coming in, so there's things we can do until then. Right now we're gonna focus on whatever parts we've got that we don't think we'll have to take off and go backwards. So we got our Nerf bars laced up. We'll go ahead and remove these Nerf bars in the stock plastic guard. I have a one-piece fender, and basically what it is, just a, I just thought it looked a little cooler, instead of having those extensions. This is basically the whole stock fender from Mayer that basically doesn't have the black extensions on there. So we're gonna have to take this fender off, and then we're gonna do our battery relocation, remove the stock air box, and get the fuel customs intake on there, probably put the grab bars and the buffers on there. We're gonna do the steering stem, and but right now I'm just gonna concentrate on getting this thing apart. So. so we have our LSR stem, Lone Star Racing, and just getting this all set up to drop back in. This is a bearing plate, lower bearing plate. It's serviceable, has a grease fitting. This is made by Changi's Design, or Changizi, I'm not even sure how to say it, but really nice stuff. Guy is like a KFX450 guru, still racing them now. You got the upper plate, yeah, and then I believe he makes all this stuff in house. TD44. So this will, instead of the stock nylon plastic with rubber O-rings and whatnot bushing, this thing's a little more sophisticated. It's got a grease fitting too, so it's completely serviceable, which is nice. You can just keep adding grease, which will make the bushings last a lot longer. So we're gonna go ahead and start installing this on the bike. Alright, so we put a couple hours into this thing so far. Right now, this figured it was a good place to stop, because anything else is just going to be like an hour or more to get done, and it's been a long day. So, as far as where we're at right now, we've got the stem on. The stem is a +1, so it just means that it's an inch higher. I found on the other bike, it already had a +1 stem. I didn't realize it. Sitting on this one stock and sitting on the other one, realized that it was just a much more comfortable position. So when I ordered this one, I went ahead and got some of those a little bit taller too. We got our Changizi blocks installed. So these are really nice units. Looking on the floor, so just to give a comparison, this is what it's got stock with, you know, this is the bushing that wears out. It's got 2 O-rings, it clamps together and whatnot. So this is just a much better system. And not only that, you have a grease zerk in there, so you can service it. Same thing with the bottom. He makes those too. It's much better quality bearing. It's got a zerk in it. You can grease it from time to time. Should last a lot longer, and it's a lot more solid. The other thing we came across, we went ahead and took the arms off in preparation for our new arms coming in. Now the new arms are going to be, they're basically a +2 setup, so they're going to be 2 inches wider, which should put it around your typical race quad width. But along with that, and I'm hoping, and I believe that tie rods come along with it, because obviously we're going to need longer tie rods to go with this. But the other thing we noticed, especially, you know, it all started with the stem being an inch higher, that the stock hose and brake setup wasn't really going to work. So instead of a hose just going into a block, they had actually have a hard line on here. I could have carved a new hard line out and redid it all, but I just figured everything being a little more flexible would be a little better. So they got a short hose here. What was going on is this block here was resting on this bracket, and then it just put everything in a bind, being up higher. So went and looked around for some parts. I do sell brake blocks here, splitters. So went ahead and removed the whole system, and what I'm going to do is just replumb all the brakes. So we put this block up here, and then I got a longer line. Now I'm just basically dealing with the lines that I have to deal with. So, and at this point we're not stock anymore, so I don't know if stock lines will help me either. So this is an EBC brake line that I sell. I just sell brake lines by the length, you know, for guys who are building buggies and whatnot. So this is actually the front brake line from a Grom, and it's a really nice EBC steel braided line. It's a little longer than we needed, but the rear brake line was too short, so for the Groms. So I sell front and rear for the Groms, and so I'd rather have it just a little long. So that's where we went there. Got rid of the Renthal bars that were on there, were the Pro Taper stock bars. Went with the Fly Racing bars. These are the same bars I have in my YFZ, and I kind of like them. They're like the YZF, YFZ cut, but I kind of like them. I'm hoping that I'm trying to make everything kind of feel the same. Went with our OD lock-on grips, and transfer. We had everything on the old Pro Taper bars, so we just transferred everything over to these bars. So everything's nice and tight and looks good right now. The other thing that I've decided to do on the fly, and I had a kill switch, but the kill switch wasn't going to work with the way I wanted to do it. I wanted to eliminate all this cluster here. I'm not going to have lights. I don't need the little kill switch, and the only thing I really need to utilize out of this is the start button. So what I'm going to do is I went ahead and ordered, I thought I had another one and I didn't, so I got a Pro Armor tether for a kill, for safety, you know, when you're on the track. And then what I thought was, why can't I just use a kill switch, just any random generic kill switch for a start button, and eliminate this whole cluster that takes up a lot of room on the bars. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this space right here. And I ordered a Firepower, it'll be blue, so color-wise it'll match everything nice. But basically just a kill switch that, you know, you can utilize. I had one, I forget what brand it was, a Zeta. I had a Zeta, it was a Space Saver, which actually mounts on the perch. So that would have been perfect. Problem is that the streamlined perch for this clutch is spaced out probably more than your OEM perches are. So when I actually had to re-drill it, put a larger bolts and everything, and didn't realize while I was doing all this work that when I went and lined it up that it was way off. The spread on this was a lot wider than the spread on the Zeta kill switch. So the whole Space Saver thing seemed like a really cool concept and idea, but it's not going to work with this clutch assembly I have going on. So I went ahead and ordered a standalone kill switch. I'm going to mount it between the bars and the clutch here. I don't see why it won't work. It's got 2 wires to kill the motor, so you only need 2 wires to really get the solenoid to start over, and the key switch is what turns on the ignition system on and off. So I don't see how this will have anything to do with that. So I should just be able to, if I'm going to take my meter to it, track down which 2 wires basically lead me to the solenoid and take care of that. The other thing is, I've seen a couple YouTube videos on guys who have done different things as far as tapping their kill tether to the coil, but I did figure out something on the other bike that I just didn't like the idea of running wires to the coil and tying them in with the coil wires. So I will show you how we averted that, and on the other bike, and it's a nice clean setup and everything's down here and you can't see it. The only thing I'm not sure about, and I'll track it down and then show and explain what I did and how I did it, but I just have to see if the color codes are, because now I'm going by memory, the other bike's in Tennessee, so, but I'll figure it out. It'll be a lot easier because the plastics are on the other bike and they're not on this bike, so it should be easy to go through and trace wires. So next on the list, at this point, again, we're waiting for arms, so anything on the front end at this point, we don't want to put the bumper on yet, just because why put the bumper on in case it's in the way, give them more freedom. If anything, this bumper will come off and give us a little more freedom to work. At this point, rear end wise, we're gonna get a rear shock in. I did buy a lowering link that I put on the other bike, and I can't really tell you, I haven't ridden the bike hard enough to tell you how I feel about it. I thought about cutting the subframe to lower the seat, and you know, thought about cutting it. I have TIG welder. I figured we'd practice a little bit and whatnot, and I was gonna put bungs on the mount so I could lower the rear subframe. But I've seen a couple of guys, and that might happen one day, but as far as right now, I've seen a couple of guys do that, post their builds on YouTube. What I don't like about it is it puts the seat in a huge bind. Then you have to get into putting seat pins and whatnot, which isn't a bad idea, but the front of the seat in the junction, the tank junction, it just kind of puts a bind and it lifts the front of the seat off the tank. And if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do it so it's a little bit cleaner than what I've seen in the past. So right now I'm gonna try this lowering link out. It's a Durablu lowering link, and we have a Durablu axle to put in here. So at that point, gonna change all the bearings and bushings in the linkage in the rear suspension when we put the shock in. Gonna check the swing arm. If there's no play in it, I'm gonna leave it alone. We ended up having to pull the swing arm off the other bike. I can do it. If I can avoid it, I'll avoid it. But if it all seems good, the other one had so much play on it, I just couldn't avoid it. I'm like, yeah, this won't work. So ended up changing all the bearings in the swing arm. But we will check the rear carrier bearings, see how they are. If there's any question in there, I'm going to see about either removing the bearings and changing them out, or replacing the whole carrier. All right, and this will be my first. I've never swapped a quad axle, so it'll be the first time for me too. We did get the grab bar in there. She looks good. She fits good. It's wrap racing. Fitment on that is always the best. And we're going to save putting the Nerf bars on until we get done working around the bike. We have it so naked right now, it's just kind of easy to work on. And then we have a fuel customs intake that after we get the shock in, we'll put the intake in. Battery relocation, we were kind of having a discussion. If you look at the stock fender versus the Mayer fender, that this has a much deeper compartment. And what we ended up doing before with the other bike is there was the toolbox that rests across here. I put it somewhere and I don't know where, and I'm not really super worried about it at the moment. So, but there's a toolbox that rests across here, a little tool tray. What we did is we cut out the tool tray, and the battery slid right in there nice and tight, and then we used a couple of the foam blocks or whatnot, and it was almost like factory fit. It was perfect. What we're going to run into a problem with this fender is that this fender is not as deep, it's very shallow. So we're gonna figure out something. We're gonna do the tool tray idea as a battery hold down again, but we're gonna figure out something, and probably some sort of bracket that'll be underneath, because this will be open for the battery. That'll basically go on the subframe, so if the fender has to come on and off, it doesn't interfere with that. So that's gonna take a little bit. Once we get the shock and the intake on, and we can kind of lay this fender back on the bike and kind of play with it and see what kind of room we have to work with or what needs to be done. At that point, we'll do that. So the battery wires, here's the positive. The solenoid's up here under the cowl or the hood. So we're gonna run a new battery wire that's going all the way back here. The ground wire seemed to be long enough on the other bike, and it seems to be long enough here. I ended up putting a different end on it just because of the way, you know, of the bend, but we'll see about that too. The other bike had a lot more tinkering to it, where this bike seems to be a lot cleaner and a lot less beat on, and a lot more stock. So I knew it was a clean bike when I bought it. Like I said, the other bike, not so much, and needed a lot of TLC. This seems to be a cooler build, because it's not like everything I come across I have to fix on the way to do it right. So at that point, we still have parts. I just ordered some more parts besides the kill switch. I got sprockets coming in. I'm gonna change the chain. Whenever you change your chain, you should probably change your sprockets also, especially on a dirt bike or a quad. So I don't know how that's gonna come into play if we just go for the axle and then get the sprocket on after the fact. But we're kind of you know, talking about that now and hitting the punch list. But next thing is gonna be intake and shock and the rear end, and then we'll go from there. So if you have any questions, leave in the comment section. If you like what you see, hit the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys. JD's out.